I have been about as favorable to, and I've said many times on the show, I think he's one of the top coaches in college football. Look at what he did briefly at Fresno State. Look at what he did at Washington with Michael Penix Jr. Like, the guy, his coaching staffs are always great. Bringing in his OC from Washington to Alabama, I was going to give Alabama a huge boost this season. It still could. Like, the season's not over. It just took a big dent. Some of that will depend on what Florida State does the rest of the year. But there's almost an element, and you were going to have questions about, I was going to have similar questions about LSU if Brian Kelly had started his career 0-4 in week 1 games. There's an element of, in college football, the pro sports are different. You can have a guy from Georgia be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and it doesn't really make a difference, right? Like, because this guy's coming from all over the place, different backgrounds, drafted from different colleges all over the country. Like, there's not, because the vast majority of the NFL, with the exception of Green Bay, Wisconsin, pretty much, are big markets. There's stuff to do. It's multicultural, like the whole bit. That's not really the case in college football. Like, part of the reason that people have such a personal connection with the sport is because it's local, because it's in small towns, because Knoxville, Tennessee is never going to get an NFL team. It will never happen, ever, ever, ever. Tuscaloosa, Alabama will never get a team. Tallahassee, Florida will never get a team, right? Like, that's Columbus, Ohio will probably never get a football team. Pro football team, obviously. So it's local, it's regional, it's like a community. And if somebody comes in and maybe doesn't quite fit the culture of said community, or doesn't have ties to, at least to the conference, maybe it's not always going to be the best fit. I don't view what's happened thus far. Bama lost their first week 1 game in 24 years. I think 2001 was the last time they lost in week 1. Kalen DeBoer's 9-5 to start his career. I don't think it's an indictment on him as a coach so much as it is not an SEC guy. And that's not an indictment. There are some coaches that aren't Big Ten guys. Like, that's the, I mean, Ed Orgeron bombed at USC. That was never going to work. A Cajun guy coaching in Southern California, that doesn't make sense. Oh, but when he coaches LSU and he's saying, go Tigers, like, it works. Orgeron was a great coach, but he fit LSU. That was kind of the knock on Brian Kelly for a little bit. Again, he got a little bit of that monkey off his back by beating a Clemson the other day. So we got to see how that continues. But Brian Kelly, remember, he came into LSU and he's like, I'd like to thank my family. He's faking the Southern accent. It's like, dude, you're from like Massachusetts. Like, this doesn't work. I think Brian Kelly's from Massachusetts. It doesn't fit at all. Kalen DeBoer has no ties to the SEC. So it is a little bit of a clunky fit. Steve Sarkisian has ties to the Southeastern Conference. That's a part why the reason he's worked at Texas. Josh Heupel played college football at Oklahoma, which is now an SEC team, so it works at Tennessee. By the way, he coached at UCF before that, so like he's comfortable. He's used to this region of the country. Again, like it's not that big of an adjustment. Nick Saban went from LSU to Bama. Now Michigan State before LSU, so that was an adjustment, but Nick Saban's the greatest coach of all time. So like that's Bear Bryant, I believe, coach at Texas A&M, then Alabama. Like, this regional sort of tie-in to the local communities, that's a real thing in the sport. And I don't know if Kalen DeBoer, great of a coach as I maintain, again, I know this is not a popular position today, particularly in Tuscaloosa. I get it. I maintain I think Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. I don't think you can just look at what he did in Washington and say, okay, that's all Michael Penix Jr. As big of a Penix fan as I am, and I think he's going to be really good in Atlanta this year, and I think he's going to be a franchise quarterback, that wasn't all him. As talented as he is, wasn't all him. There's a reason Washington went through, I mean, funny enough, the last year, the Pac-12, the conference was awesome. There's a reason he went through the gauntlet he did, beat Texas, and gave Michigan a little bit of a run there before Michigan ended up pulling away because they were the best team in the sport in 2023. I don't think you can just look at this and just, okay, that Washington, Pac-12 was pretty good at the end of their run. It was. They beat Oregon twice. Like, Washington was a good team last year, or 2 years ago when Kalen DeBoer was there. So I think a lot of it is a cultural connection that Kalen doesn't necessarily work there. The way that, obviously, Nick Saban would, but Saban fits everywhere is the go. The way that A lot of coaches fit at their particular schools. Dabo Swinney fits perfectly at Clemson. He's a Southern guy. Like, it works. Lincoln Riley, by the way. Like, Lincoln Riley, the weird thing with him is, like, he fits Southern California. Does he fit the rough and tumble cold weather in November Big Ten? Bad year last year by USC standards, and we'll see what happens this year. Maybe USC will surprise people. I like Lincoln Riley, but fit matters. I mean, there's a reason. If you look at the NBA, you look at NBA history, the greatest players in the history of their franchises, didn't they kind of embody the city? Didn't Magic Johnson, flashy, kind of, exuberant and showing his personality? Doesn't that kind of fit LA? It does. Doesn't Larry Bird, kind of blue collar and really kind of rough and tumble, doesn't that fit Boston? Steph Curry, flashy, innovative, changing the game. Doesn't that really fit the Bay Area and San Francisco and Oakland before that? LeBron James, doubted, but generationally talented. Doesn't that kind of fit Cleveland? Like, these things matter. Not to say that somebody like a Dirk Nowitzki can't come to Dallas and embody that city, which I think in large part he did, or Luka, before they traded him, embodied that. And I think he kind of embodies who the Lakers are now. Now he's in LA. Like, these things, Jalen Brunson, doubted, scrappy, fits New York. These things matter. And they certainly matter in college football when it's a sport that is overwhelmingly so. I mean, Miami, USC, UCLA, there's not that. I mean, New York City doesn't really have a major college football college football program. Like, we really don't. So I think that's something that has hurt Kalen DeBoer in his time in Alabama. Now, again, we'll see how they fare the rest of the year. I thought they would miss the playoff. I actually said that they would lose to South Carolina this year, and the winner of that game would be the last team, to get into the postseason as that 11 seed. But listen, Bama's got Louisiana Monroe. They'll win that game. Wisconsin at home, they should win that easily. Then they go to Georgia. Listen, Kirby Smart has struggled at times against Alabama, but this game is in between the heads. Just Georgia's lost, I think, one home game since 2019. Like, they don't lose at home much. Vanderbilt at home. They did lose to Vanderbilt last year, but Diego Pavia, that ain't happening. At Missouri, that's a win. Tennessee at home. I don't know. You see Joey Aguilar? Look pretty good. At South Carolina, that's a loss. LSU at home. I think LSU's better than Alabama. Oklahoma at home, and then Eastern Illinois and at Auburn. They struggle on the road against Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and the Tigers look pretty good against Baylor. So we'll see what happens. But that was a devastating loss. Devastating. And I really like Kalen DeBoer. I just don't know if he fits Tuscaloosa, and that matters in college football. Doesn't really matter in professional sports because most of these franchises are in cities, multicultural, like the whole bit. Doesn't really work in college football that same way. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.